for the Mustang roll is because if this gets pressure, when they break over right here, this would be break over, that's in the way, and it pushes up into there. Because this is all soft, and that's all hard. Yeah. The inner wall is more pliable than the outer wall, so it gives. The outer wall is hard. Okay. Same thing here when the horse heel lands. They've got to if they have a corner here, they got to make it over that corner. This right here, that corner right there crushes into. If they land on that corner, it crushes all of this stuff here. If this is sitting on the ground and they lean back, it crushes up into here. Okay, so the soft tissue, the coronary band at that bevel all the way around should never receive pressure. Because it's just like our cuticle. It's just like jamming your fingernail. So the reason for the Mustang roll is so that's what I'm doing right there. And this is what I'm doing right here. This matches this, and this matches that. Okay, this also matches that. Okay, so by rolling the back of that heel, I'm taking pressure off that whole area, and I'm taking pressure off of this whole area. Now taking this bevel all the way around here, this would be your Mustang roll, takes pressure off of that whole wall all the way around. Then when I get to the frog, it's the same thing. The frog has a corium as well. If I just let a big fat frog hit the ground, it's no different than having the outer walls on the ground. The coriums are all getting crushed. The horse can't be present because they can only think about their feet. Okay, so what happens is when I take the pressure off the coronary band, then the inner wall is growing. It's producing horn tubules the length of the lamina and sending them out that direction. And the same horn tubules are growing down from here that direction. So these horn tubules, the flow of these horn tubules takes these horn tubules down. So these are produced here and they grow down when they hit the outer wall. And the outer walls are growing down like this. So, but everything's growing down and forward. So when all of that, the rate of growth of that wall is like 2 millimeters, say 1 millimeter every 2 days, roughly. Okay, so it adds up, to a stack of pennies pretty quick. So here, what happens when I trim here, a week later, it's there. A week later, 2 weeks later, it's there, and 3 weeks later, it's there. And you're actually going to have a little bit of this too. At 4 weeks, it's there, and the inside of the outer wall is starting to touch the ground. It's starting to push on the coronary band. So what I do is I trim here, and I want it to be here. That's where it's going to be the best. But when it gets just past that, then it's bad. So if so when I'm trimming in the beginning stages, and that's what I was saying about Skip, tomorrow isn't going to be his best day. It's 3 weeks from now. So if I trim him, and if I don't tell my client this, for trimmers here, and it's one thing if you're an owner and you have a optimistic belief system and you're willing to just kind of assimilate and assess and not just go, it didn't work.
Yeah.
I won't freak out, I promise you.
But when you're a trimmer, you have to face all different all different belief systems.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you spend your life explaining to everybody, it's going to be better. No, you just
Get sick of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I got too much of a mental image there, so I forgot what I was doing.
About the trimming and what would you set up the horse for the next trim?
Thank you. So what I'm trying to do is get to here, but not. So what would happen is, let's use you in a case for an example, and maybe Skip was a little bit off tomorrow. Wasn't moving as good as you wanted to. You're thinking, I'm not sure about this, and then maybe he was off the rest of the week and a little bit more the next week, and the third week you're like, okay, now he's kind of back to himself. and then I'm your trimmer now, and
Yes.
and you say, and I say, okay, you ready for Skip ready for a trim? You say, no, he's just starting to feel better. I'm trimming now.
Yeah.
He's
And
gonna
then?
be back up here, and we're starting all over again.
Yeah.
So I have to do my best as a trimmer to educate the owner, but not tell them. I've got to get them thinking for themselves. I've got to get it for their idea to go, oh, I need to call David to do a trim. Not because they've invested their belief system into my belief system, but because they're starting to get it and they see the results.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that happens in barefoot trimming, and it's why horses don't end up with good feet. It's belief systems of people, and it's the inability to communicate like adults. Or actually probably more like kids. Adults should probably communicate more like kids, like, but then okay, and then whatever. They're afraid to do all that stuff.
And then what would you say to someone who tells you a horse lands flat? So I don't need the Mustang roll.
And they want it to land flat?
No, they think they have the
Knowledge.
they think a horse lands like this and not
Right.
like
And
that.
they think they're supposed to land flat.
Yeah.
Okay, if they think a horse is supposed to land flat, then I don't have anything to
Say.
talk to them about.
No.
Unless they ask me if I think differently. If they ask me, what do you think? Then I'll say, I think they should land heel first.
Well, there's a farrier who says horses land flat, no need for a Mustang roll.
If
And
they
he's
say
looking
that,
for
they're
evidence.
fixed on, I'm not wasting any time. That's fine. You go have flat-footed horses, and I'll go
Yeah.
have arched.
It's like
horses.
such a different opinion.
Yes, until
And
they
it's
say,
not a fact.
Until they say, why do you want an arched foot? If they say, why do you want an arched foot, and they're open to it, then I'll say why I want arched foot. But if they start,
They just want their
If they
status
just want-
quo and they're not wanting anything different, it's hard to change. People's minds don't typically change until they see an issue with something. And if they're stuck in seeing that as perfectly fine, they're not going to look for anything different. They're not going to look for,
yeah. So I try not to get into conversations and arguments. So, for instance, on Facebook, if I post photos, I try not to say a lot. Sometimes I'll say something that's bugging me, and it ends up being like that long.
Yeah. I've seen them.
But most of the time, oh, by the way, so everybody, I like to say this, Claudia and my wife Stephanie, it's all of us. I just stick my head out there and take the punches, but it's all of us. I typically start with something that pisses me off. They get tired of me ranting around the house.
Write it down.
Go write it down.
Put it on
go write it
Facebook.
down. And then I write it down. And then she's like, oh, all right, say this. And more like that. And then my
They'll
wife...
think you mean this if you say it like that.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to say it like
Yeah,
this.
and then Stephanie, I go, what are you guys working on? She's like, and she'll read it. She's like, oh, but you got to say this here, you got to say that there, and it ends up being.
Mom typically comes in and says that punctuation is all
Yeah,
wrong.
nobody will take you seriously. They're all gonna think you're a redneck if you. So, and in a lot of times, what I'll do on those posts is, by the time I get to the bottom, I'm like reliving the whole situation, and I'm yelling at people, and my wife, she'll come in and say, God, you just sound like a crazy person through here, and then she'll let me see that, and then she'll write what I really mean to say at the very bottom. I'm like, I'm not gonna say that. I'm being all nice up here, and then, and she's like, you gotta say that. That's the whole point of the thing. I'm like,
Yeah, like a
all right.
summary.
And then I sit, and then I push the button. And like, you sure? She's like, yes. I'm like, you sure? She's like, yes. Push the button, and there it goes. And then, but they're as much a part of all the. I take all the photos. They edit them. They're like, don't put that photo on there. And it's, so it's a family little operation. It looks like me, but it's not.